Yo, what's good, basketball heads? It's your boy Crush. Let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks versus the Atlanta Hawks. And also, let's touch on the Dallas Mavericks losing, and they're currently out of the plane right now. So the Dallas Mavericks lost in overtime, 132 to 130. Kyrie Irving was a beast, dropped almost 40. He had a masterful game, but it didn't matter. And here's the reason why. The Mavs played no defense. Their main issue is they play no defense. They're one of the worst defensive teams in the league, and they need a center. They need a big man for the paint to block shots, get rebounds, offensive rebounds, block shots, keep other dudes out the paint, and they need a wing player. In the Kyrie Irving trade, they gave up a lot. So their team is a little bit thin right now, and you can see it. Because ever since acquiring Kyrie Irving, they're about 6-23 or something like that. They won 6 games out of 23, and it's been horrendous. I'm not going to blame Kyrie, like it's his fault. A lot of media personnel and a lot of people is going to blame Kyrie and said it's his fault. Kyrie Irving is the reason they're losing, but I don't feel like that's the case. I just feel like it's a team's makeup. Right now, they don't have the pieces they need to compete. They don't have the pieces they need to be a contender. I mean, yes, Kyrie's a great player. Luka is a great player, but you need defense. At least decent defense. You don't have to have the greatest defense, but if you're going to compete, you need to be at least middle of the pack. The Mavericks currently, they're like at the bottom in defense. They're terrible. And tonight's game was no exception. They couldn't stop anybody. Atlanta did whatever they wanted. They just couldn't stop anybody. They got offensive rebounds. Atlanta just did what they wanted. Both teams, it was the same story. So both teams couldn't stop anybody. Hence, the Mavs lost once again. So ever since acquiring Kyrie Irving, they only won 6 games in like 23 games or something like that. What's crazy about this whole situation, as bad as the Mavericks are playing, they're only 1 game out of the plane. As bad as they're playing, 1 to 1.5 games out of the plane. That's insane. So they went from a team that was 2-3 games above 500 to being a team that's 3-4 games below 500 ever since they acquired Kyrie Irving. And I'm not going to blame Kyrie once again. I don't feel like it's his fault or he's the reason. No. If you look at Kyrie's stats ever since he joined the Mavericks, his numbers are up across the board. Majority of his numbers, they're up. So he's actually playing better. So it's not about Kyrie's the reason they're losing. No. It's just the makeup of the team. They need a big man, a center. They're a small team, and that's the problem. They're a small team. They can't stop anybody. So they need a big man. They need maybe 1 or 2 more wing players, and they're good to go because they have the core as far as they have, Luka, they have Kyrie, they have Tim Hardaway Jr., they have Woods. So they have a good team. The makeup is good, the nucleus. They just need a big man or maybe 1 or 2 more wings to even out, balance out the team so they can have better defense because that's the issue. They could score all day. The Mav is an offensive juggernaut. They could score all day. They have enough offensive firepower. The issue is they can't stop anybody. Simple as that. They can't stop anybody. And tonight was another example. If you watch the game, they couldn't stop anybody. They just couldn't stop anyone from scoring the basketball. And it's sad. But this is what the Mavericks has come to. And if they miss the playoff, that is going to be a sad situation where you have 2 top 25 players on the same team. Luka is a top 5 player. Kyrie is a top 20, top 25. And they miss the playoff. That would be insane. But currently, they're out of the playoff. They're a game and a half out of the play-in, and it's looking really bad. And I don't know if it's the coaching. I don't want to put this on Jason Kidd. Yes, he is the coach, but you do need the pieces. I'm just saying you do need the pieces. And you can see their flaws and weakness. When you watch the game, you see the obvious flaws and weakness. They don't have any paint. There's no rim protection. They need a big man in the paint. They need better wings who could play defense, some defensive wings, because they lost up a lot in acquiring Kyrie, and it's showing, man. You can see the glaring flaws in the team, in their makeup. So this off season, this summer, they're gonna have to go out there and try to get some pieces to balance out the roster if Kyrie Irving is still on the team. If they decide to re-sign Kyrie, they're gonna have to go out there and get some pieces to balance out the team. Because right now, they're just not a good team. Even though they have two superstars, they're not a good team. Defensively, they're the bottom of the pack. And if you can't play defense, how are you gonna win games? So if you can't play defense, you have to basically rely on outscoring the opponents. And in today's NBA, everybody could score a ton of points. Literally everybody could score a ton of points. So it's kind of hard to outscore other teams. So the Mavs are going to have to go out, man, and in the offseason and get some pieces to upgrade the team and balance out the roster, because right now they're just not good. And you would think, even though they don't have certain pieces they need to be a better team, you would think Kyrie Irving and Luka together could, offset that with their offensive firepower, but that hasn't been the case. That hasn't been the case. And tonight was another example. If you watch the game, you could see the glaring flaws in the entire team and their makeup. And it's just a sad situation because majority of NBA fans, basketball fans, and Maverick fans was hyped when we heard, they're getting Kyrie Irving. Everybody was hyped. Who wasn't hyped? I was like, oh man, they're going to be a beast. Not saying they're going to win it all, but you thought, okay, this team is going to be competing. They're going to be a hard team to deal with. That's what we all thought. But when you look at it, their deficiencies is just glaring, man. And it's more so defense. It's not offense. It's not nothing else but defense. They have a lot of offensive firepower. They just need some defensive players to fill out the team. And they lost all that. All the defensive players they had, they lost all of that to bring Kyrie Irving in. And it's just not looking good, man. It's a sad situation because I really want to see the Mavs in the playoff. They have no chance of making the 6th seed anymore. That's over. That's been over with. So throw that out the window. The only thing that's left for the Mavericks is making the play-in, because that's it. They can't make the playoff anymore. At least the 6th seed, they can't make that anymore. That's on lockdown. You have Golden State, the Clippers, the Lakers, the Timberwolves. There's at least 4 teams ahead. So that's out the window. So their best bet right now is to win the next 4 or 5 games, whatever they have left, and possibly make the play-in. That's their only hope. And it's sad that it's come to this, because if you go back like 2.5 weeks ago in that range, the Mavs was in the 6th spot. At one point, they were competing with the Clippers and the Warriors. They was right there in the 6th spot. And ever since then, they lost so many games. Another big issue is closing games. We know, once again, they're one of the worst defensive teams in the league. But another issue is closing games. You would think they have Kyrie Irving and Luka on the same team. Closing games shouldn't be a big deal, but it is. They lost a lot of close games because they can't bring it home. They can't close the game. The same issue the Lakers was struggling with prior to the trade. And it's just a sad situation, man. I am rooting for these dudes to make it into the play-in at least and get in the playoff. Because honestly, you could say whatever you want to say about the Mavs right now, but let's be honest. I don't think there's any team that want to face Kyrie and Luka in the playoff. I don't think the Nuggets would want to face the Mavs in the playoff. I don't think the Kings. I don't think the Suns. But like I said, they're out of the 6th seed, so never mind the Kings. But I don't think the Nuggets or the Grizzlies would want to face the Mavericks in the playoff. Trust me, they don't. Because it don't matter what their record says or how bad they're playing right now. The postseason is another animal, and who knows? They could turn it around if they get in, and you never know. Trust me. And this team is very scary. Despite their bad gameplay and, they're playing terrible, this is a very good team. But it's sad, man. It's a sad situation that a team that made the Western Conference Finals last season is facing elimination and possibly won't make the playoff, or the play-in for that matter. That is crazy. So that's what's going on, man. And Kyrie had a masterful game. He was a monster. Kyrie played like a monster this game. But the only issue is he made a bad foul in overtime. Him fouling Trae Young was the dumbest foul he could make. Why would he do that? That was just a mental error that Kyrie made. Why would you foul Trae Young Why? He's trying to get a steal and end up fouling Trae Young, which sent him to the free throw line, and he iced the game. And it was it. Game over. This was a must win for the Mavs, and they blew it. So they had so many chances to win the game. But like I said, once again, they have been struggling with closing games ever since they got Kyrie. I don't know what it is. They can't close games. And it's just a terrible situation. But we'll see if this team could still get into the play-in. You know, they're still in there, but they got to win these games because the window is closing. Right now, they are 3 games out of the 8th seed, and I don't think they're going to catch the 7th or 8th seed. Throw that out the window. So they're going to have to get the 10th or the 9th seed and end up playing 2 games to make it to the playoff. So right now, the Mavs are a game and a half out of the 10th spot, the last spot for the play-in, and they can't afford to lose any more games. So if the Mavs lose about 2 more games, they're not going to make it. Right now, they're still in there, but they need to win these games. Today was a very crucial game, man. Kyrie was a monster. I mean, he balled out. There's nothing I could say about Kyrie beyond the bad foul with 0.3 seconds remaining that ended up costing them the game. That was a bad foul. That was just a low IQ bad foul. But beyond that, they got to figure something out. But as always, man, I'll holla. As always, we just talking basketball. Hit the subscribe button, like, comment, share, holla at your boy.
It's all about the game and how you play it. It's all about the game. I'ma say it. It's all about the game.